what made you, like when you and Jenny picked this church, like what was it that stood out? Like, because you probably went to some other churches and you had, each had a background in Pentecost, and you probably in a little bit smaller churches, quite a bit maybe.
The church that I was in when I was growing up was considered a mega church.
Okay, it was pretty big.
Yeah, it was over 1,000 people.
Yeah. So, but either way, what was it that stood out? Like, was it like the teaching, the music, the vision, like what?
When I started going to CCV, I would say was not living a Christ-centered life. And at the time, they were paying musicians, and it was a gig.
Okay.
And then, And then I listened and whatever.
Yeah.
Then through that, somewhere in there, I met Jenny. So.
Well, she was going to the church? No. Okay,
no.
You met her.
Yeah, I met her because my brother is married to her best friend that she grew up with.
Okay.
So there was
so you met, okay,
so we would
had nothing to do with the church, but
nothing to do with the church. Then I took another gig for about 7 or 8 months at another church after we were together. Pure Heart, actually. And one day, both of us said, you know, we really should go back to CCV. We really didn't know why, because we liked Pure Heart just fine. But we both felt it was, I don't know, we just felt pulled, drawn.
But have you now, after the fact, have you analyzed your, like, do you have any idea what it was that pulled on it? We want to say the Spirit of God, praise the Lord. But, I mean, is there anything, like, specific that you feel,
I think it was, for me, I think it was Don's teaching. Because the type of teaching that he does is it's just very matter of fact. It's not a lot of spiritual gibberish and stuff in it, and very stuff that you can just apply to regular life. And I found that very compelling. And that's probably more than anything.
Teaching more than anything.
Teaching more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, one would have thought that you would say the music was really cool.
The music at Pure Heart, I'll say honestly, the music at Pure Heart, I think is better than the music.
Okay, so good.
Not as high, like, we're a lot more polished and not more professional. But being a musician, I enjoyed playing at Pure Heart a lot more than I enjoyed playing here. Which is really funny because one of the guys in the band, when I came back, said, boy, I bet you're glad to be back here with the music and everything. And I was like, well, actually, the music's a lot better over there. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. You know? I mean, every church has got its...
So it all boils down to, okay, all the visions and everything is great, but it's teaching. It's good, solid teaching, down to earth, applicable in everyday life situations.
Yes. And I truly, after now having studied other churches, because we regularly go visit other churches around the country. So I've been to Saddleback, I've been to Willow, I've been to North Point. You know, pretty much name a big church, 50% chance that I've been there, 100% chance that somebody from our staff has been there to just see what they're doing and get ideas. I would say in 100% of the cases, the success of a large church is dependent on the ability of the main speaker to connect to the audience, to a large audience. If you don't have that, you're done. Because there's some churches that don't have music hardly at all. Some of them have these big, grandiose pageants, whatever. But to me, if it's a large church, it all comes down to the guy that's...
because coming in from the outside, it would be easy to think that it's all about the latest technicians, techniques like the big screens, the lights, and the entertainment, you might say. But then really, once you pull all that to the side, it's teaching. It's good, solid, Bible-centered teaching, or Jesus-centered, I think.
Exactly. The reason that we have the lights and all of that, the only reason we do that is for people that are not Christians. That we've got to have something...
But it's not really to entertain Christians. It's to entertain, quote-unquote, non-Christians, or to pull them in,
appeal to
them with any means.
Right, so they come in, then they get the teaching. So, some people agree with it, some people don't agree with it, and, you know, I think that's the great thing. I mean, God makes us all completely different, so we'll respond to things differently. There's different types of churches. You know, there's definitely not enough churches as it is. So, you know, the more different styles, the more ways that people have to connect. as long as we have the essentials, which we know what the essentials are, you know that.
We'll have to find that in writing too. So that your vision and the essentials.
It's probably on your website, isn't it?
Probably.
Yeah.
And then we have the core values, which is a commitment to excellence, heart for evangelism, relationships, integrity, servant attitude, and teamwork, which is an acrostic for Christ. So, if we have an event, it's either got to be a win, train, or send strategy, and it's got to fall in line with all of the core values.
Well, the thing I appreciate about CCV, I mean, even though we haven't really attended here only to visit, and I go with Jenny or whatever, is that like the sports program and things like that, or there's things that they do for the community that they don't charge for. Like one of the problems I have with Joy, they charge for a lot of things. Like
Joy, that's a church called Joy.
Yeah,
Community
larger,
Church of Joy is
larger.
right down the street.
Oh, okay.
Because like when my friends' daughters were in their choir program at Joy for Christmas, she had to buy us a ticket to see her kids perform in the Christmas program, and I just thought that was a little off. But I don't know. And then they have funerals for cops, like almost all of them are here.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, an officer was killed in the line of duty about 2 weeks ago, and so it was right before Christmas, and it was carried on all the news stations. Generally, we'll do all of those funerals.
Is it because you have the room for the mourners?
Yes.
Like other churches, they wouldn't fit.
They wouldn't fit. Also, we have the technology that the family doesn't want the news media in the room. We have the technology with all of our cameras and everything to give a feed out to the news trucks. So past the baptistry, we actually have conduit that goes out there, and all the news trucks park on that dirt pad that was on the other side of there, and then we send them a feed of everything, and they can satellite it to the news stations. And a lot of times they'll carry it live on TV.
I think Don is community-minded, and it's not...
Well, that's actually one of the things that we've started last year, was all funerals now, even if it's high profile, low profile, all of them are free. So we provide a space to have a funeral. We'll provide...
You don't charge for them.
We don't
charge for a lot of the... You have staff here. I mean, that costs money.
Right.
So...
That's one of the things that we've identified as a couple reasons. One, anytime that you're giving something for free, you know, that's just good.
Goodwill.
Goodwill, good community relations. Secondly, people that are going through a loss in their family, those people are more open to hearing the gospel at that time in their life than they would be at other times in their life. So it's a good time to try to pull them in. So we just decided that we're going to do funerals for free for people that are not members of the church, which is kind of funny because I think we might still charge members of the church to do funerals, but if you're not a member, we won't charge you, which is probably different, backwards than a lot of other churches are, you know, traditionally how you would think.
Interesting.
Yeah. But there are
I'm going to be charged for this ceremony. Something called cell groups or home groups or
small groups, whatever. We used to have small groups. You know, I guess our version would be like the Saddleback version. When what's his name? Saddleback. Rick Warren was kind of like the California version of small groups. And then we kind of adopted that model.
What is special with that version?
I don't know. I don't know. It's his book. You know what I mean? Or here's somebody else's book. It's all the same thing.
He has some big secrets.
We're looking for secrets.
We have a completely different model that we've come up with on our own. Probably not for everybody, but this is where the pastor said, okay, nobody's a member now. If you want to be a member, then you have to completely say you're a part of this philosophy. And that's neighborhood.
So he let every member go, so he started over. How many were you at that time?
4,500.
So
you are no longer a member.
Okay.
And also, we had people that were
and then what?
listed as members that may not even be coming anymore. So then, that was December 31st, like 2004, something like that. And then January 1st, you can sign up to become a member again. But if you want to become a member, you have to do all the things you would normally do to be a member before, but now also you have to adopt this neighborhood ministry philosophy, where instead of trying to get people onto the campus, we're going to try to get our members out into the community. Okay?
So it's like a major change in vision.
Total change in vision. About every 10 years, or every 5 to 10 years, you have a change in vision.